Welcome to this BTX Today Deep Dive. We're digging into the Brownsville City Commission meeting from April 15th, 2025.
Yep, we've gone through the agenda, the documents, all that stuff.
Exactly. So you don't have to wade through it all.
Right.
Consider this your shortcut to what's happening in Brownsville that, actually matters to the community.
And just a quick reminder for everyone listening.
Oh, right. We are powered by artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
We can make mistakes, so please keep that in mind as you listen.
Definitely.
Okay, so today we're looking at a few key things, some important recognitions,
The proclamations.
updates from the city manager, especially on recent events,
The flooding response, yeah.
and then some key decisions on city business, stuff that affects Brownsville directly. Ready to jump in?
Let's do it. So the commission kicked things off by recognizing two really significant parts of the Brownsville community.
Okay, who first?
First up, a big one. The 40th anniversary of Leadership Brownsville.
40 years. Wow.
Yeah, they've been around since 1985. Think about that, fostering leadership development for 4 decades. That's impressive staying power.
It really is. So what's their main goal, their mission?
It's really about educating community members about Brownsville itself, showing them the challenges, the opportunities.
And getting them involved.
Exactly. Empowering them to make a positive impact. The proclamation mentioned they've had over 880 graduates so far.
880. That's a lot of people getting that deeper dive into how the city works.
Right. And it's not just learning. Each class actually does community projects. So, volunteering, service, investing back into the community directly.
That practical side is key, isn't it? Learning and doing.
For sure. The proclamation really highlighted their role in giving future leaders that grounding in community affairs, history, demographics, the financial side, politics.
The whole picture.
Yeah, and encouraging them to find solutions. You have to figure a lot of those 880 grads are probably involved in the city today in some way.
Makes sense. It's like planting seeds for the future. Okay, who was the second recognition for?
The second one was a very heartfelt proclamation. It honored the life and legacy of Erasmo Castro Jr.
Ah, okay. Sponsored by Commissioner Villaruel and the mayor.
That's right. It painted a picture of someone really rooted in Brownsville, born here, went through the public schools, and overcame some personal challenges, eventually earning a degree in Christian studies and dedicating himself to service.
What stood out about his service? I know the name.
Well, maybe you know Brownsville Chisme.
Oh, yes, the social media platform. Huge following, right?
Huge, over 85,000 followers. He created that platform, and it really became a space for civic engagement and holding officials accountable, giving people a voice.
That's a massive impact just from that alone.
It really was. But he did more, too. He got elected to the BSD Board of Trustees in 2019.
The school board.
Yep, Brownsville Independent School District. He even served as board president in 2023.
And what was his focus there?
Championing transparency, educational equity, trying to enrich student programs, advocating for staff, really elevating the voices of teachers and families.
So active on multiple fronts.
Definitely. The proclamation talked about his charisma and compassion,
Yeah.
his smile, his laugh, but also his passionate advocacy for people who felt unheard.
That sounds like quite a personality.
It does. And there was that memorable detail about him officiating weddings.
On the International Bridge, I remember reading about that.
Yeah. His quote was great. Bringing 2 countries together, I'm bringing 2 people together, just captures that spirit of unity.
That's really something, a unique way to connect people.
He was known personally as Lolly, apparently. Loved his family, travel, food, doing those weddings.
Sounds like a life fully lived.
It does. The proclamation summed it up by saying he gave a platform to the unheard, a voice to the overlooked, a light to hidden truths. Really powerful stuff.
A strong call to carry on that kind of spirit. Okay, so after those important recognitions, the city manager gave an update.
Yes. Shifting gears a bit, the focus was on the recent, pretty widespread flooding we saw across the valley.
Right. That hit hard in some areas.
It did. And the city manager wanted to acknowledge the city departments that stepped up to help, not just in Brownsville, but regionally.
Which departments got shout-outs?
Specifically, engineering and public works, the fire department and emergency management, and the police department.
Okay, and what kind of help were they providing?
So engineering and public works, for instance, they sent a storm and vacuum truck plus staff over to help the city of Harlingen.
That's good neighbor stuff right there.
Exactly. They also mentioned that their own pre-storm cleaning of drainage ditches and expressways here in Brownsville seemed to help mitigate things locally.
Proactive work paying off. What about fire and emergency management?
Big job for them. They conducted over 70 water rescues.
70. Wow.
Ah, quite a number. They also provided humanitarian aid, food, and water using their water rescue teams, boats, even a high clearance vehicle. They coordinated city help for a Salvation Army food distribution, too.
Crucial support when people are displaced or cut off.
Absolutely. And the police department pitched in with the Salvation Army efforts, too, out at Laureles County Park. Helped prep and serve meals, initially around 600, then continuing daily support.
So real teamwork across departments.
Definitely. Even BPB, the Brownsville Public Utilities Board, got involved, sending a vacuum truck to help the city of Crooms with an emergency sinkhole repair.
It really shows that interconnectedness, doesn't it?
Yes.
When there's a crisis, everyone pulls together.
The city manager really emphasized that collaborative spirit. A lot of hard work went into supporting the wider community.
Good to hear that acknowledged. All right, let's move into the general city business section. Sounds a lot happened under the consent agenda.
Yeah, that's typical. The consent agenda bundles routine items for one vote, saves time, unless a commissioner pulls something out for discussion.
And we saw that happen this time, right? But first, what kind of things were in the consent part?
Oh, a real mix. Approval of minutes from past meetings, standard stuff.
Yeah.
An agreement, an MOU, with the Bissell Pet Foundation for spay-neuter surgeries.
Okay, animal welfare.
Right. A contract for 9 new shelters for Dean Porter Park. Steelworks shelters.
Park improvements, good.
A contract for ongoing services for the parking pay stations with Flowbird, Inc. Another MOU, this one with ROCA Revival of Cultural Art for youth diversion services for the municipal court.
Interesting. An alternative path for young offenders.
Seems like it. Also, a contract for a pergola project at Southmost Library, booked in the shade, funded by CDBG, Community Development Block Grant money.
Nice. Shade is always welcome here.
Tell me about it. Amending a laundry contract to include the sports park dome. Awarding a contract for foam cover for the city landfill.
Landfill operations, okay.
Buying some gas utility vehicles and mowers for Parks and Rec from Deuce and Bobcat. Ratifying the bylaws for the Building and Standards Commission.
A lot of nuts and bolts city operations stuff.
Exactly. Approving surplus items for public auction, getting an auctioneer. Amending the employee handbook about the drug and alcohol-free workplace policy.
Important HR updates.
Yeah. A resolution to buy a Spartan fire engine. Amending another resolution to add a match requirement for a victim assistance grant. Approving a policy manual for procurement public auctions.
So refining processes.
And finally, approving funding from BCIC, the Brownsville Community Improvement Corporation, for various projects, including some at the sports park. They handle Type B sales tax funds for community improvements.
Okay, quite a list approved in one go. But you mentioned a couple items got pulled.
Right. Items 12 and 13, Commissioner Villarreal requested they be discussed separately.
What were they?
Both were construction contracts recommended for award to the same company, RBM Contractors. One was for the Villa Las Piñas drainage improvement project.
Okay, gradage, always important.
And the other was for Calvin Street paving, drainage, and utility improvements.
So 2 significant infrastructure projects. What was the concern?
He mentioned seeing a slightly higher bid from a local company and that he was still researching some aspects of contract award limitations or policies. Wanted some clarification.
Due diligence, basically. Checking the process.
Exactly. City staff clarified that these were indeed the low bid proposals according to the process. After that clarification, Commissioner Villarreal actually moved to approve both items.
Okay, so discussed and then approved. Good. What came after the consent agenda?
Then we moved into public hearings and actions. These required individual votes, usually on ordinances, which are like city laws.
Okay.
These were first readings, meaning they'll come back for a final vote later.
Gotcha. What was the first one?
First up was ordinance number 2025-235.102.a. This one amended the UDC, the Unified Development Code.
The big rulebook for development.
Right. This amendment does a few things, mainly prohibiting new billboards.
Prohibiting, so no more new ones.
That's the plan. It also regulates the illumination, the brightness of other signs, and deals with enforcement. It essentially formalizes the end of that billboard pilot program they had.
Okay, so existing billboards are?
They now fall under the category of prohibited signs, but the focus seemed to be on preventing new ones and then proactively enforcing the lighting rules based on recommendations they got.
Interesting. A shift in the city's visual landscape, potentially. What was next?
Next was ordinance number 2025-1652E, amending the rules around the historic sites tax exemption.
Ah, helping preserve old buildings.
Exactly. This program's been around a while, offers tax breaks to encourage upkeep. This ordinance basically replaces the 2022 plan with a 2025 version, updating the lists of properties involved.
So, Schedule A and Schedule B.
Right. Schedule A has 98 properties getting the tax abatement. They estimate that'll reduce city funds by about $105,000.
Okay, that's the cost of the incentive.
But Schedule B has 6 properties where the maximum benefit has run out, so they'll start paying full taxes again, adding about $5,600 back.
A small offset. And the preservation folks are happy with the program.
Yeah, the Historic Preservation Commission approved these schedules and noted the program's success in encouraging rehabilitation. So it seems to be working as intended.
Good to hear. Was there another ordinance?
One more first reading. Ordinance number 2025-1766. This approved the voluntary annexation of about 7.4 acres of land out on Military Highway.
Annexation, so bringing land into the city limits?
Correct. Belongs to Roger Ranch, LLC. The stated intention is for future warehousing development.
So commercial growth, potentially. Does annexation mean it's automatically zoned for that?
No, good point. Annexation is just step one, bringing it into the city. The property would still need to go through the whole rezoning process later if they want to build warehouses there.
Okay, so more steps to come on that one. What followed the public hearings?
A few items for individual consideration, mostly awarding contracts that weren't on the consent agenda.
Right.
2 more went to that same contractor, RBM Contractors, LLC. One was for the Wild Rose Lane paving, drainage, and utility improvements. Big project.
How big?
Just under $3 million. $2,985,638.35 to be exact. Full street reconstruction, paving, drainage, sidewalks, even planning for a future shared use path. Funded by the city and BPB.
Sounds like a major upgrade for that area. Any discussion?
Commissioner Villarreal asked about the contractor's capacity, given they were getting multiple large projects. Staff confirmed they believe the contractor could handle the workload, so it was awarded.
Okay. And the other individual item?
That was the Culvert and Sensor Improvements Project, awarded for about $1.5 million, a bit over actually, $1,555,912.
Culverts and sensors. What's the goal there?
This is interesting. It aims to improve how the city monitors water levels and flow in our Resica systems.
The waterways. Very important.
Definitely. They're installing 7 new sensors that will provide live, real-time data to the USGS, the U.S. Geological Survey.
So better data for water management.
Exactly. It seems like a smart move for understanding and managing that resource. The project also includes fixing up 4 existing box culverts.
Okay, good infrastructure work.
Yeah.
Any other business before they wrapped up?
Just a couple of board appointments to fill vacancies.
Right, citizen boards.
Yep. Nancy Dews was appointed by Commissioner Macias to the Paseo de la Resaca Lighting and Landscaping Maintenance District.
Okay.
And Hector Adosco was appointed by Commissioner Martinez to the Brownsville Border Film Commission. They noted other vacancies on those boards would be filled later.
Right, and then the closed session.
Yes, they went into executive session. The agenda listed discussions on Project Nottingham, Project Force, and Project Legacy, likely involving legal advice or real estate matters, standard reasons for closed sessions.
And did anything come out of that?
When they reconvened, they took one action. They approved resolution number 2025-039A, which related to Project Nottingham. No public details beyond that, though.
Okay, standard procedure for those items.
Pretty much. And that wrapped up the main business of the meeting.
All right, so that brings us to the end of this BTX Today deep dive on the April 15th City Commission meeting. We covered quite a bit, the proclamations.
Honoring Leadership Brownsville's 40 years and Erasmo Castro Jr.'s legacy. Really important community touchstones.
Then the city manager's update on the flood response.
Showing that regional cooperation and the hard work of city departments.
And then navigating through all that city business, the consent agenda, the ordinances on billboards and historic preservation, annexation, and those significant infrastructure contracts.
Yeah, a lot of decisions that shape the city, from the visual environment to basic services and future development.
So, thinking about it all, what really jumps out to you is maybe the most significant thread running through this meeting?
That's a good question. Maybe it's that balance. You have the forward-looking stuff like infrastructure projects and annexation, but also the grounding in community history and recognition, like with the proclamations and the historic tax credit.
Yeah, that's a good point. Investing in the future while also honoring and preserving the past and the people who contribute.
And also dealing with immediate challenges like the flood response. It's that constant juggling act of city governance, isn't it?
It really is. It covers so much ground. We hope this deep dive gave you a clearer picture of what your city commission is working on.
Remember, you can always find the official minutes and documents on the city's website if you want even more detail on any of this.
Definitely worth exploring. Consider what questions this raises for you. How do these decisions touch your neighborhood, your daily life? That's really what taking this deep dive is all about.